So the killer would have to then. The victim's dead.
Yeah,
There's no way.
How would the victim bring it back? The killer used the jacket as a disguise to make his escape. But in order to conceal the fact that he had to get the jacket back to the crime scene, so the culprit simply returned to the robotics lab and planted it there.
Got seen on camera?
Contradiction resolved.
Objection!
Except that it would have been impossible. The first person to discover the body. They could have been wearing one, and without the other officers noticing, put it on the floor.
But that would mean Athena was one of them. Oh, you're saying it's one of the two officers that was beside her.
Well, no, we don't know who the person that discovered the body with the officers was. We theorized it might have been Athena, but that doesn't seem to be the case.
The reporter?
The only people who came to the robotics lab after the killer were Prosecutor Blackwell and the people who reported the body. And they've claimed that the jacket was there when they arrived. So when do you propose this mysterious man of yours had the chance to return the jacket?
A puzzling question indeed. When the body was found. I think he's one of the two officers that came back with her.
It's gotta be. Yeah, but it can't be at the time of the murder. That does make some sense. The only time the culprit could have returned the jacket was when the body was found. Mr. Wright, do you realize the implication of your argument? I do. Most people, when they come across a murder, focus their attention to the body. The culprit could have taken advantage of that split second to plant the jacket. In other words, the true culprit of this case is a man known as the Phantom. Was one of the first people to discover the body.
I would never have thought that. Order in the court. What is the meaning of this, Prosecutor Edgeworth?
The body was discovered and reported by a group of 3 people. They were there to collect a space probe capsule in preparation for the Hat 1 launch. One of the people had a special bag to transport the capsule. Oh, you mean the shock-resistant bag? Correct. I suspect that if the jacket was in that bag, it could have been returned to the scene of the crime without anyone noticing. I'll see to it that you get the reports on those 3 people. You will? You should also check the facial recognition database for the robot. This person felt the need to hide his face with the theater mask. It might mean that his facial data was once registered.
Prosecutor Edgeworth, does this mean...
I have to admit, I believe Miss Sykes' memories are to be credible. You win, right? Not that it was ever an official trial anyway.
Do my ears deceive me? Prosecutor Edgeworth, are you actually conceding?
Aura's not gonna like this.
Is it true, boss? Does this mean Nope.
You haven't won, Phoenix. Can't believe it. It's over. You won.
We have to convict the other guy.
I proves that both Athena and Prosecutor Blackwell are innocent. Your Honor, I see no need to further prolong this trial.
Objection!
Hold on, Mr. Wright. Have you forgotten who's in charge of this trial?
That's right. I'm the one who's supposed to say, I see no need for further prolong.
Not you either, Your Honor. Now silence. How do we handle her at this point? Because she wants Athena convicted, but, like, we've just proven Athena not guilty.
Yeah. And we've proven Blackwell got not guilty. And we've proven it's the little princess who was truly beloved by Metis. And who repaid that love with death. All these years hating Athena was the only thing that kept me going. But what do I do now? Can anybody tell me? How am I supposed to go on?
Miss Blackwell. How unlike you, Aura. Metis was deeply passionate about her work, and she chose you as her partner. Isn't that?
Shut up, Simon. You know exactly how I felt about her. Her respect as a coworker wasn't all that I wanted. Then what did you want from her? Credit?
Did you really just go there, Your Honor?
Oh, it's not an official trial.
Aura, there is something I wanted to say, if you'll lend me an ear. I have in my possession a lead on who Metis' murderer is.
Ooh.
You do? Right, Dono. You asked me about the identity of the Phantom of 7 years past. That's right. Phantom. The person Blackwell has been looking for, even behind bars. 7 years ago, somebody hatched a plan to sabotage the Het 1 rocket. The spy. But he was no ordinary spy. We knew naught about him, his background, appearance. We came to refer to him as the Phantom. At the time, I was working with the police to hunt him down. Then, one day, a miracle occurred, and I obtained a lead on him.
Oh, how exciting. What was the lead?
According as the Phantom's voice, but the quality was too poor for a proper voice analysis. Yet I had hoped Aura's co-worker was a scientist who could analyze human emotions. So I asked her to evaluate the recording using analytical psychology. And that scientist was Dr. Sykes? Yes. A spy's greatest fear is to have his true identity discovered. In addition to Het 1, Dr. Sykes' results and the recording were surely among his targets. But the search of the Space Center bore no fruit, so he must have started to panic.
You couldn't find them, but where could they have been?
Who's to say? So he had him the whole time. Wow, I bet he never let that out of his sight all these years. How in the world did you smuggle them into prison? Oh, I have my ways. What's more, my partner is especially talented at that sort of thing. Taka! Let's go, Taka!
Bird.
I worked to lure the Phantom in by spreading rumors throughout the underworld. I was even granted permission to prosecute cases attached to the Phantom's attention. Just try to retrieve your identity, you bloody butcher. Became my taunt. And what about the results Dr. Sykes drew up for you? Was there any useful information? Here, you can see for yourself. But take good care of it. It's all I have left of my mentor. I will. Better hold on to this real tight. The subject's emotions rarely fluctuate, and he doesn't experience feelings like normal people do. Psychological profile classified. Emotional output of this voice extremely weak compared to typical voices. Subject deemed to have unique psychological makeup and almost no emotional fluctuation. No emotional fluctuation. Huh? A spy who experiences no emotions. Not sadness, nor anger, and naturally no fear. He is the very definition of a phantom. A monster with no heart. Don't you see? This creature is the rot that destroyed our lives and set us with us all upon emotion. The Phantom indeed, a fitting name for the one who has brought darkness to our world.
Well then. You see, the faint image of this man has started to take shape. Based on what we have learned, I'd like all of you to conduct further investigation. This is not a formal trial, but I do want to follow protocol. If I may, I'd like to hand down my verdict and bring these proceedings to an end. Whatever. Do what you want.
You'll hear no objections from me. Yes, please, Your Honor. It's over. It's finally over.
Very well. In that case, Prosecutor Blackwell, could you please take the stand?
I'm already here, Your Honor. What do you want?
As a result of this trial, your innocence has been proven. The verdict handed down 7 years ago is hereby overturned. And now the defendant of the current trial, Miss Athena Sykes. Yes, Your Honor? Mr. Wright, thank you. Thank you for everything.
This isn't over, though. Something's got to keep this going. Because we still haven't figured out Clay's situation. Athena, you're more than welcome.
If everyone is ready, I will now give my verdict.
Gonna be Aura.
Gonna be Apollo. You!
Oh!
I think he has leads.
Apollo. Apollo! What is the meaning of this?
Congratulations, Mr. Wright and Prosecutor Edgeworth. You uncovered the truth from 7 years ago and you saved Prosecutor Blackwell. However, I can't allow this trial to end just yet.
Why, Apollo? Why would you do this to us?
Mr. Justice, please explain yourself. It's very simple. There isn't much to explain. The defendant, Miss Athena Sykes, might not be innocent.
Apollo, what the crap? What are you talking about? The case from 7 years ago has been settled.
I'm not talking about the past here. I'm talking about the present case.
He thinks she's guilty of Clay's murder?
She would be the only one to know where the knife was hidden, and therefore use it, if that's the very same knife. It's still not clear who killed Clay Turan. Paulo, why would you... Miss Sykes, please listen quietly to what I have to say.
What in the world is Apollo trying to do?
Your Honor, please allow me a little of the court's time. But this is a trial for the case from 7 years ago. Miss Blackwell, I'd like to ask a favor of you. Just as you lost someone close to you, I lost someone close to me too. I'm sure you want to know the real truth of what happened as much as I do. Apollo. Hee, sure, you know I'm all for the truth. Now let me see you expose the princess's guilt. Judge, I give my permission. Continue with the trial. Very well. Is that all right with you, Prosecutor Edgeworth?
The prosecution has no objections. Let's hear Mr. Justice's testimony. I'll have the police investigation report brought immediately. Not you too, Edgeworth. Really hope it's because you have something up your sleeve.
Very well. Your opening statement, please. Prosecutor Edgeworth.
As you wish. Let's review the case of the murder of Clay Turan. It was made clear in the previous trial that Solomon Starbuck was not his killer. Therefore, the true culprit was someone else. On that day, the culprit waited for the astronauts on board in Lounge 1. When the two men made their escape out of the Space Museum. The killer attacked Mr. Turan with the same type of knife that was used 7 years ago.
And you can see we don't see the back of his hand.
The murderer then escaped into the Space Museum. Next, Director Yuri Cosmos switched the launch pads. After that, the culprit exited the Space Center and escaped via boarding lounge 2. Therefore, the trial must make clear who Mr. Turan's true killer was. In other words, we must discover who it was that escaped through the Space Museum that day.
Thank you, Prosecutor Edgewood. Mr. Wright, is the defense ready? Before we start this, can we look at a list of every person in this trial?
Xena, Apollo. Like, it's based on the thing that it's a guy.
Yeah.
And I feel like the one that just ties it all together is Clay. But then the question,
But imagine how much Apollo wouldn't want to hear that, right?
like, Apollo has memories going back ages with Clay. But, like, was there ever a gap where Apollo didn't see Clay, that Clay could have been, like, taken to the country and turned into a spy?
Yeah, Clay was also, like, I remember he said he didn't see Clay for a while, and then he's going on the jet program and whatnot, but...
No way, I don't think Starbuck's a spy. It's not going to be Blackwell. I doubt it's Bobby. I noticed, like, even though it's a dumb idea, we don't have Ted in here.
Yeah.
But Yuri's being controlled by someone, so I don't think it's him.
And he has emotions up the wazoo.
Like, the only guy on here we haven't really done any, like, emotion stuff with is Clay.
But Clay stabbing himself?
I think someone else had, like, I feel like Clay might have been Phantom 7 years ago, but then someone somehow, like, got to him here.
Mm-hmm. Okay, let's keep going then.
Oh, like, what other guy from this game could it be?
We also know Apollo had his blindfold on, and he couldn't have been recognized, but he was wearing Clay's coat.
I highly doubt it's I don't think it's possible to be Apollo. That just doesn't work.
Yeah.
Because remember, kind of metagame here. We still have one more game in the trilogy, so Apollo has to be there. So it can't be Apollo. But let's see where this goes. Yes, Your Honor. Better rearrange my evidence. Okay, so evidence has changed around in our court record. Let's see what they get.
Let's see.
They probably gave us back. Did they give us back Clay's autopsy? Okay, so this is all the way up here now.
Yeah.
All right, so we do have Terran's autopsy report again.
We have the... You think the knife was hidden all that time in the capsule?
It could have been. Well, no, the capsule came back a few days prior.
And was swapped.
Well, no, the capsule was...
What if what if the old capsule had the moon rock, and then they swapped the capsules out at one point?
I don't think the capsule would have been switched. Because remember, this capsule went up into space 7 years ago, and it came back with the asteroid samples.
Yeah, but think about it this way.
And
If-
actually, Could this capsule have been opened and if the knife was in there, taken out and used?
I don't think no one would open it because it's top secret, right? And it says no hands on it, right? So imagine it this way. Imagine if Clay Turan did do the murder, hid it in the capsule, and then none of the special investigators had the authority to open the capsule to find the murder weapon, right? It's sitting there in the photo. No one opened it. And then the capsule gets put away in the storage space for years and years and years and years. And this guy, the spy, has to go back around and he gets sent and he's aware of the plans and he switches out the capsules or switches out what's inside it and then something happens to him per se. Okay, let's keep going. I think there's a switch happening here. I don't think it was the only thing that was switched. Also, wait, the bomb case on the far right?
Wait, did a bomb case come back?
Check a sec. The plush doll was.
Oh yeah, the plush doll.
And what's...
Oh, the ladder got added. The
lighter as well.
The lighter's been in our evidence. Well, it wasn't for that last part, but it got brought back in because it's now it's becoming relevant again. Or a statement is back.
Ooh, the hand of the lighter matters too. I suspected Miss Sykes of the murder of Clay Turan. My growing suspicions were confirmed when this incriminating evidence presented itself. In addition, she's the only one who could have utilized the launchpad switch to escape. That is why I wish to indict Miss Sykes on the charge of murder. Ooh, that's heavy. Order. Order in the court. Mr. Justice, you realize you're charging your own coworker with the murder, don't you? Yes, Your Honor, because that is the conclusion my investigation has led me to. But Apollo, why? How could you suspect me too? Mr. Wright, your cross-examination, please.
Apollo's like, bring it on, Mr. Wright. Why are you doing this, Apollo? Something's off. I don't get it. Just what did you find out over the past few days to make you think this? I merely want to press him about the lighter. Hold it! That's the lighter that was found at the Space Museum with her fingerprints on it, right? But even if it seems decisive, there must be other facts we don't know yet.
If that's so, go ahead and prove it then. Look, honestly, I don't want to believe it's true either. But Miss Sykes was the only one who was in the Space Museum at the time of the murder. Locked out.
But, Mr. Justice, Miss Sykes had absolutely no motive to kill Mr. Turan.
Objection!
7 years ago, Miss Sykes lived at the Cosmos Space Center. It wouldn't be strange she had some kind of connection to him. Besides, people sometimes kill for motives we can't even imagine. I know you've seen plenty of cases like that in your own career, Mr. Wright.
Has there been a case that we've done with Phoenix that we couldn't determine a motive? I don't think so. I think every case ended up with a motive.
Yeah. At least none that come to my mind immediately. Other than maybe, like, Hawthorne's. But she just did it because...
She did whatever she wanted. It's like that was her motive.
Yeah.
Well, she killed her sister because her sister was going to expose the truth of her crimes. She killed Doug because Doug knew her secrets and was trying to expose her. Like, those are the two main ones we know. So can't believe this. How can you actually suspect Athena, Apollo?
Hold it!
Isn't it possible? Bleh.
Isn't it possible that somebody else used that same escape route?
I'm afraid not, Mr. Wright.
Why not? Because also, like, Athena, how would Athena be able to control Cosmos into doing the swap? Like, what leverage would Athena have on him? Like, who has leverage on Cosmos here?
Recall there's a security camera in boarding lounge 1 aimed at the launch pad door. It's the camera that captured Mr. Turan and Mr. Starbuck. There's also another security camera in boarding lounge 2. Recorded Mr. Turan's killer, or rather, Miss Sykes coming out of the Space Museum.
Camera in the boarding lounge too. First I've heard of it, but it makes sense. Athena said she snuck into the Space Museum the night before the incident. And then was overcome and passed out until the noon the next day. That must have been when the camera captured her. And that's what made Apollo suspect her even more. Wait a minute. In that case, it's most likely recorded the true culprit as well.
Objection!
Got the negative on that one too, Mr. Wright.
The culprit jumped out before it connected back.
Feasible.
There had, like, we don't really have a good grasp of the surrounding area.
Like a 1-story drop is not that bad.
It's
Oh, that's a
just-
3-4 stop.
Yeah, we don't really have like an aerial view of the area. Like, if they had a way to cushion their fall out, or like say they just had like a parachute with them or something, just jump out that 30 feet halfway there. Maybe that's probably why the leaf is there. Maybe the leaf has something to do with that.
I don't get how you get the leaf, if that makes sense.
Yeah, it's weird that the leaf is there.
In the footage taken after the incident, Miss Sykes is the only one who appears.
What? Why? Yeah, so the culprit had to have escaped the thing while it was swapping.
Order! Order in the court!
It can't be. But if it is, then it is incredibly incriminating. Wasn't it you who proved the previous trial that the way the true culprit escaped was via the Space Museum after the paths had been switched? A fact that you've previously proved turned to honest ears, leaving your client high and dry. I must say, that is vintage Phoenix Wright. Yeah. I'm guessing at this point we just have to press all of them. Believing your client to the end is the basic principle of good defense. Shouldn't you extend that same principle to your own coworker?
You're probably right. Maybe I'm not even fit to be a lawyer. However, I don't care. The case is special to me.
Oh, we finally got a color version. We got a color version of the kids one.
Clay was my friend, and that's why I just have to know the truth.
Wish it didn't flash by all those pictures so quickly. Paul suspected his trusted coworker of killing his friend. To dispel his doubts, he investigated on his own, but that only led to more doubts. Apollo must have been really struggling with this. Well, Apollo may have doubts, but... I'll say it again. Athena Sykes isn't the murderer.
And I have only one thing to say. Evidence is everything in court. Well, Mr. Wright, think you have the concrete proof to knock down my arguments?
His point of contention are the fingerprints on the lighter and the escape route, huh? Apollo knows how I operate, so I can't use my usual tactics on it. Looks like all I can do is press him on for more information.
The first one, I guess.
Yep, we haven't pressed the first one.
Hold it!
Why did he suspect her?
What first made you suspicious of Miss Sykes?
It all started when Miss Sykes and I were investigating the crime scene. When she saw the weapon that killed Mr. Turan, my bracelet reacted.
Ooh.
She said she'd never seen this knife before, but my bracelet told me otherwise. Oh, but she saw it in her memories. And then every time after that, my bracelet would react when she talked about the case.
Poor Apollo must have been beside himself during the investigation.
I didn't know what to do or think. I couldn't even sleep. In that condition, I knew I wouldn't be any good in court. So I decided to wear an eye patch so I wouldn't be able to perceive any of her tells.
Ah, interesting.
So it's not an injury.
So that's why Apollo was acting so strangely. But the reason Miss Sykes unconsciously reacted to that knife, that way is because she stabbed her mother's murderer with the one identical knife to it 7 years ago.
Objection!
But that knife was also the murder weapon that was used to kill Clay Turan. My bracelet could have also reacted to her because she knew she was her killer as well.
Guess he has a point.
But my bracelet wasn't the only reason I became suspicious of her. Your arguments have been very clear, Mr. Justice. And your facts appear to be indisputable. Well, Mr. Wright, what do you think of my theory?
We hate it.
Looks like not even you can deny it. Miss Sykes was the only one who used the only possible escape route.
Under these circumstances, there can be no other suspect but the defendant.
Unless you think there was an alternative escape route. Isn't that what you think, Mr. Wright? Is that what you think, Mr. Wright? God, the judge really likes putting the pressure on him.
It'd be nice if we had a picture of the Space Center.
But we don't. Might be with the emergency ladder.
Is that what you think, Phoenix? Is there an alternative escape route? There has to be. Like, I think I might be right, is that they just went out the corridor while it was in motion, because it's just an empty gap there. They could just come out.
I think the killer jumped out the window and then literally hopped onto the corridor and then kind of like did a ghillie flip onto it. You know, grab the bar and swing yourself in.
Maybe. Yes, of course. There must have been. Just don't ask me what.
You're just bluffing again, aren't you?
Me? Bluff? No way. Apollo's just gonna be like, Mr. Wright, come on.
Sitting there with all the...
It's fine. I think this might be Athena.
It's fine, Mr. Wright. Even a bluff would suit me just fine. I think that's Apollo. As long as you can clear up this doubt inside me.
Can we mood matrix him, please? This might be good.
Was he there? I still wonder. Wait.
Wait. So was that what this is all about?
I want to believe in Athena. I really do. But what is faith without doubt? That's why I need to question her guilt. So that once the truth finally comes out, I can really fully trust her. So that you can really trust me?
It seems your junior partner has just showed us what trials are truly all about. I believe you're right. We prosecutors painstakingly question every detail in pursuit of the defendant. While we lawyers believe in and defend our clients to the end.
When both sides go all out against each other, that's when we discover the truth.
Precisely. And when the battle is over, we will understand the true meaning of trust. Which is exactly what trials are about. Wouldn't you agree?
Yes, I couldn't ignore the seed of doubt that was growing inside me. So I decided I needed to face it head on. No matter what the truth that's waiting ahead, I won't be afraid.
That's so like Apollo. Always uber earnest about things like this. Mr. Justice, I vow to dispel every last bit of doubt in your heart.
Good, because I want to believe in Miss Sykes again.
Really hoping there was an alternative route, aren't you, Apollo? But if I use the process of elimination, there really aren't many possibilities. Director Cosmos is at the southern exit, leaving only as a control room in the corridor to the Space Museum. Which door could the culprit have escaped through?
Come on, Mr. Wright. Where do you think the culprit escaped to?
I think they still went out here. Because we don't see... If we saw the pods on here, maybe, but we don't.
Mm-hmm.
Take that!
They really only could have escaped to the corridor to the Space Museum. All they had to do was use the unconscious Mr. Starbucks Prince to get through the door.
Objection!
It appears that all you're trying to establish is Miss Sykes' guilt. If the culprit used that route, only the exit would have been into boarding lounge 2. The logical conclusion of your argument is that the killer is none other than the defendant.
I knew it. That's the only way it could be, huh?
No, it's not it.
Culprit escaped in the corridor that leads to the Space Museum. Then I guess it's true. The only exit would have been into the boarding lounge, too.
But Miss Sykes was the only person captured by the boarding lounge 2 security camera.
I investigated the crime scene thoroughly. But the only place the culprit could have escaped was the Space Museum corridor.
No.
There weren't any other secret corridors or anything.
So that leaves us with no as a conclusion to draw that but that Athena Sykes was the culprit. Or could there really be no other escape routes? Hold on a second. What if? Where did those mysterious leaves we saw in the corridor come from? What if they're the culprit's escape route? Is there a tree along the way?
That'd be nuts if there was. I don't remember seeing one, though.
It just they flashed by a picture of it so quick we couldn't really get a look. I think it is possible that the culprit escaped into the Space Museum. But then came out using a route other than Boarding Lounge 2.
Oh?
Launchpad 1 and the Space Museum were switched after the bombing, meaning the Space Museum corridor was moving along the rail at the time, which is exactly when the alternative escape route opened up for our culprit.
Are you kidding me?
Judging by the intense look in your eyes, I take it you're serious. Very well then, Mr. Wright, do tell. Where could the culprit have gone? Where could the culprit have gone from the museum corridor besides the boarding lounge?
The launch site?
I think we could just present this ring, right?
Was there a tree in the front?
Well, we don't see him here, but like I think it just wants us to present here because like this closes up, and then there's just like a whole ringed area.
Take that!
We found something odd while investigating the museum corridor after this afternoon. Namely, a few dead leaves on the floor. Considering where dead leaves come from, they point us exactly to where the culprit escaped to.
Yes, I remember seeing some leaves myself. Ah, do you mean...
Well, the Space Museum was in motion, just beyond the corridor's safety door. Was an alternative place that the culprit could use to escape. In other words, the culprit's real escape route was... It's a whole bunch of grassy area. The area outside the Space Center.
But how do you get a leaf there? The trees are far away.
Did you see their lines?
Objection!
Okay, that's pretty good. Do you know how impossible that would be? The corridor's level with the 3rd floor. Even if the culprit tried to leap outside the wall of the Space Center building, they would fall into their death.
3-story falls aren't as bad. Also, you can kind of hang out. Like really, it's the bottom of the 3rd floor is where is not where the 30 feet begin. So it's really like a 20-foot drop. You hang down from it. It comes like a 15-foot drop. That's not too far, really.
It doesn't explain where the leaf came from, unless it blew in the wind.
Objection!
Ordinarily, yes. But after the bombing incident, culprit can make use of a certain item. Oh, did they just jump onto the... Or just jumped onto the ladder. It could very well have been Aura.
Yeah. No, it couldn't have been, because she took the ladder first and then saw out the window. Right, so she had to put the ladder down first and then go.
Yeah, she could have done that. It's a possibility. But after the bombing,
He is possible, though.
After the bombing incident, the culprit made use of a certain item. And what item was that exactly, Mr. Wright?
Take that!
An emergency ladder. There was an emergency ladder in the 4th floor robotics lab. And it was used the day after the explosion to help evacuate people. Ms. Blackwell herself used the ladder to escape down to ground level. Recall that the launch pads were switched after the ladder was lowered. The corridor could have passed by the ladder while the pads were being switched. And that's when the culprit literally sprang into action. And leapt onto the ladder.
What? Who would have imagined? And it only requires a push of a button. Order in the court. Well, an alternative escape route seems to have emerged. Which means someone other than Miss Sykes could have been the culprit, right?
Objection!
Making things up on the fly in an attempt to sway the court again, are we, Mr. Wright? Your story has so many holes, it puts Swiss cheese to shame. Alright then, name one. I have here detailed information about the Space Center. According to this, the distance between the museum corridor and the main building during the movement is a full 20 feet.
Ah.
20 feet? You're pulling my leg, right? In addition to the corridor is 3 floors from the ground, roughly 50 feet. What's more, the culprit would be leaping into a precarious place.
Onto a
An
ladder.
unstable ladder. Human beings feel fear in dangerous situations. It's basically survival instinct. An ordinary person would certainly hesitate before jumping. Or even freeze in fear and not jump at all.
Objection!
But the culprit had just murdered someone. They weren't any ordinary stealer.
Objection!
Nevertheless, why would they have taken that kind of risk? They could have waited for the switch to be complete and escaped to Borden Lounge 2.
Objection!
Because there was a security camera in Borden Lounge 2. Culprit knew that they would be recorded if they left the Space Museum that way.
Objection!
In that case, the culprit could have hidden in the museum until things settled down.
I was thinking that too.
And then blended in with the people after the museum was opened. That's a good point. But you claim that despite all this, the culprit took a 20-foot death-defying leap. And all in the brief moments the corridor ladder passed by each other. That's also a good point. They would have needed a running start while the corridor was moving to make that jump. When their timing was off, or they could jump far enough, it would have been instant death. What kind of person would attempt something like that? Could they have just brought a ladder with them?
What do you stand it on?
You could kind of hook it on the door, but you have to like carefully descend. Like this is probably not it, but like hook it around something and then like have a way to like jiggle it down after you're on the ground.
Mm-hmm. Still difficult.
Stop bringing up good points, Edgeworth. This true culprit of yours is nothing but a figment of your imagination.
Mr. Edgeworth's right. That does sound pretty insane. The culprit would have to be someone who feels no fear, like a stuntman.
The Phantom didn't have emotions. They were talking about that. Everyone feels fear on some level, right? Wait a minute. Do we have a profile slot for the Phantom? We don't. Ha! I've got it this time. I can prove that there is someone who could have used this alternate escape route. Can you now? This proves the possibility of a person who could have used this escape route.
Take that!
What's that, Mr. Wright?
This is a certain person's very interesting psych profile. The subject doesn't experience feelings like normal people do. In other words, this person doesn't feel happiness, sadness, or fear.
Doesn't feel fear.
Right! You can't be serious. Without the constraint of fear, he could easily do what an ordinary person wouldn't dare. Just as you or I could do a board jump on the ground without the slightest fear. this subject could make a 20-foot leap, 50 feet up in the air. He could choose the extreme way of escaping without hesitation.
You're saying that to a person without fear. The alternative route would be quicker and eliminate the chance they'd be spotted. That's definitely pretty extreme, Mr. Wright.
Actually, they could just hop on those fins. Realistically speaking, they don't have to use the ladder looking at this.
Yeah, because the fins would have probably slid down. He would have slid down them.
Because you can see, like, it kind of lines up perfectly where they could just kind of step off and just be right on it.
Well, was there such a person there at the scene?
Yes, the Phantom. The mysterious shadowy figure who keeps popping up.
Oh dear.
The Phantom. Again? I knew the Phantom was there behind the scenes of the Space Center bomb. I wasn't sure if he was connected to the murder of Plato Rand as well. However, now it's all clear. The Phantom is the one who not only bombed the Space Center, but also killed Mr. Terror. What?
Ah? Order in the court. Order, I say. Mr. Wright, please continue.
There's just too many similarities between this case and the one from 7 years ago. But why, you may ask? It can only be because both incidents were the work of the same Phantom.
So then this Phantom is the one who killed Clay. But who is he?
We don't really have a different guy it could be other than Clay. If we're about to get a profile, it's the only guy we haven't done anything with, like, haven't done emotional stuff with, is Clay.
But how did he kill himself and then jump off a ladder?
I mean, I don't know if this is the extraneous thing trying to make us think it was someone else.
Yeah.
But, like, it is possible, like, because a killer doesn't need to escape if they kill themselves.
Sometimes the killer is right under our noses, right? Who in this entire game has been fearless, so to speak? The only guy I know with big cojones was the guy in the case who was stealing from people on the first go.
Yeah, Filch is totally involved here.
Yeah. But that just means he has cojones, but obviously.
What if it is Filch?
That'd be a wind. That'd also be my harshest guess out of all of them.
I mean, we could be just mixing up with a guy, and it could be Candace. This Phantom has been haunting this case, pulling the strings in the background. Who could this unidentified international spy be? Right. This escape route must have been a part of the Phantom's plan from the start. As was tricking Director Cosmos into switching the launch pads. The bomb on the second floor was meant to make the elevators and stairs unusable. That's why he gave advance warning and planted the bombs where he did. Yes, I think you're right. But it doesn't explain this one last thing. Yeah, why that room? The robotics lab wasn't the only room with an emergency ladder. But he couldn't have made that leap unless he was certain which one it would be.
So you mean the Phantom must be someone who knew that particular ladder was going to be used?
That's right.
Who could it be?
Wait a minute. Wait.
It's not him. Not Fulbright, is it?
I know. I was thinking Fulbright here because he's the one that was leading the evacuation. But he couldn't be the one on the thing, though. He couldn't be the one on the corridor if he's.
But how does Fulbright have no emotions or fear?
It's all an act? 'Cause we know Fulbright was the one there.
Fulbright was there.
And Candace was somewhere else. Unless Candace is somehow the killer here. She jumped out and then she came back around and entered the room. It's got to be Fulbright or Candace.
Candace would be interesting. But she got killed 5 seconds later?
She got killed the next day or so.
Killed the next day, but he had to be present. She had to be present for killing Candace. So obviously, Fulbright makes sense, though.
Miss Backwell lowered the ladder after being told to by the detective leading the. Ah! You've got to be kidding me. Did you figure it out right? Do you know who the Phantom is? Yes, I do.
Who is it? Who killed Clay?
Is it really?
He led the evacuation and he had to absolutely have it.
But if he was leading the evacuation, how
Why would he?
how did he get to how did he get on the corridor to kill? How did he get over there?
He could have not went.
But how?
It's either that or the detective. The detective's dead. It can't be Ted. It's got to be Fulbright.
After the explosions, a member of the staff crossed paths with a certain detective. I was on duty on the 4th floor. It was quite the madhouse, I tell you. As for the detective who was leading the evacuation from the 4th floor, a very special objective in mind. His objective was to secure his own escape route. Everyone else got out to safety. I made my way down too, and headed to the shelter. This is a detective you all know. He's even the lead detective on the current case. He's also the one that brought us the lighter. He's the same one that gave us the lighter.
Yeah, he is.
He appears to be a very emotional man, but his psych profile says he is without emotion.
Take that!
What are you saying?
You mean the Phantom is Detective Bobby Fulbright?
Exactly. We were all taken in by his fake persona. Detective Fulbright's real identity is the Phantom.
Order. Order in the court. Mr. Wright, how could this be?
That's easy, Your Honor. Detective Fulbright was leading the forced floor activation effort. Our first clue is that he made no attempt to have any other ladder put to use. The ladder in the robotics lab is the only one he ordered to be lowered. The second that he directed everybody to the basement shelter via this ladder. Verily, it was all part of his plan to create an escape route. After Detective Fulbright saw to it that the ladder was lowered to the robotics lab, he went to the lounge and killed Clay Turan and escaped into the Space Museum. The museum started moving slowly, so he waited for the right time and got a running start. Just as the corridor was passing the ladder, he leaped onto it. Ugh, I don't believe it. That a detective did all that?
Was it really him? I mean, all this time I thought... Sorry, we didn't catch your name. Yeah. Then his concern for Simon was almost just one big act?
He was trying to get close to him.
That monster killed Clay? He had me completely fooled. Come to think of it, he's the one who brought the bloodstained letter into court, too. The scumbag even made me turn on Athena. Damn it, how the hell did I fall for all that?
For him to have warmed his way into the police department as well. Runner, the defense demands to question Detective Bobby Fulbright.
Yes, I agree that we need to hear from him right away. The court will take a short recess and Detective Fulbright will take the stand.
Oh boy. I was not considering Fulbright until they propped up that moment. It's like leading the investigation in the escape route. I was like, oh shoot.
Still, clearing a ladder like that is nuts. You gotta wonder what his actual personality is and his motive.
Can't wait to see his breakdown now.
Thank you so much, Mr. Wright. If it wasn't for everything you did, I...
Don't thank me yet. We still have an uphill battle to fight.
You got it, boss.
Aw, Apollo.
Apollo! Yeah, there's gonna be some tension there.
Well, this is awkward.
Athena, can you do me a favor? Yeah? What is it? Could you punch me, please? I had that in mind.
Yeah,
But
I was
what?
like, he's
Why
gonna-
should I do that?
I was thinking it's like he's gonna ask her to hit her.
Because I should have believed in you. I let the seed of doubt inside me get the best of me. I'm really sorry that I didn't trust. Ouch.
Oh, she slapped him.
Don't be such a dope. I was really touched by what you did. Huh? Now what are you talking about? Not to mention that's, well, not that specific room. He didn't block off the 4th floor, did he?
Well, the elevator got blown up, so no one could really get up to the 4th floor.
Mm-hmm. You took the time and effort to genuinely think about who I am and what I'm made of. And after all that, how could I punch a true friend like you, Apollo?
You didn't have any trouble slapping him a second ago. There's a difference.
Thanks, Athena. And thanks for waking me up in reality again.
Guess I now know who to call if I ever get sleepy in court.
It looks like you have some promising young people working under you.
Oh, hi, Edgeworth.
As said by Edgeworth.
Edgeworth. Yeah, I think they're pretty great myself. They're not afraid to keep me in line. Anyway, I have some very good news. Laura Blackwell has surrendered the hostages, and hostages have been set free. Trucy and all the others? Oh, thank goodness. Miss Blackwell said she had something she really needed to do. So I granted her special permission to do what she must. What is she gonna do here? I'm scared. Is she gonna get a weapon and kill Fulbright?
You might.
She preparing something to kill Fulbright. Uh-oh. Wonder what it is. Oh! Speaking of... It's Blackwell.
I didn't come to apologize, if that's what you're thinking. My actions are what allowed the truth of what happened 7 years ago to come to light. But I did come because I had something to say to all of you. Mizora.
She better not be here to complain about something. Miss Blackwell, I want to apologize to you. The fact that you couldn't trust the court system is our fault.
Yes, it's true the courts are filled with incompetent idiots. Still. I suppose I could let you handle the rest of this case for me. Mizora, does this mean you're starting to trust the system again? No, of course not. Be quiet, hunk of junk. It's just, I wouldn't mind if you were the ones who took Metis' killer down. Leave it to us. We'll get him.
So I guess that means she's starting to trust us, at least. Can we take the cuffs off him now, please? He's been proven not guilty. Can we take the cuffs off, please? Order.
Simon, I'm so glad both you and the princess were cleared of all suspicion.
Apparently not. He's still cuffed.
And it's all thanks to me and my robot. You better be grateful.
I never imagined you would go to that far. Though you always were extreme. I don't recall ever requesting your help.
As close as ever, I see. Well, now that you've been released, I guess it's my turn to go live in the Slammer. I just hope you're not the prosecutor for my trial.
Yeah, she still has to face trial for mass kidnapping and holding hostages.
You'd probably give me the death penalty.
You know me all too well. Guess love can take on a variety of expressions, including stunted in their case. But I truly was about to be executed tomorrow. So because of you, it looks like I won't be crossing the sticks just yet. You have my heartfelt thanks, Aura. I'm sorry I caused you so much anguish.
Simon.
Aw, she's crying.
I'm so glad, Simon. So very glad to hear you say that.
Aura.
All right, that's enough of that. Bailiff, take me to the detention center.
What Miss Blackwell did was inexcusable. But it's clear she did it out of love for her brother.
I still can't wrap my head around Detective Fulbright being the Phantom. I can't believe he killed Clay.
Right, and my murdered mentor, which brought great distress upon little Athena. Chief Prosecutor. Yes. I would ask that favor. Would you allow me to stand at the prosecutor's bench for the trial?
Oh, they're working together. Well, we always got help. They can have it too, I guess.
Allow me to cut him down a few times. I wish to claim the Phantom's head by my own hand. That was my plan all along, after all. It's highly unconventional for a man of my position to stand in court. Sir. The formal paperwork has yet to be filed, but I hereby conditionally release. Please take the prosecutor's bench in your official capacity and uncover the truth by your own hand. Now this is gonna be awkward, like the prosecutor not prosecuting the defendant. It's gonna be awkward. I'm much obliged. The day to part with these has come at last. Chief Prosecutor, could you? He's free! How long have I waited? Maybe it's a sense of freedom, but even the air seems better, the light brighter. And I will relish slashing the blackguard Fulbright to shreds without mercy. Blackwell, please, do not kill him. I don't have the able to read his heart to. Okay, I feel like that's a typo. I don't have the ability to read his heart to see how happy he is. But Athena does.
Oh, I'm so glad. But I won't cry just yet.
What do you mean? I was already crying.
After all, we still got a trial to finish.
It's okay to cry, Athena. I promise.
Prosecutor Blackwell, Mr. Wright. Please avenge Clay's death for me.
Phoenix is gonna hand it over to Apollo. For the end, it's Apollo's case now. You're coming to the defense's bench with me.
I am?
Well, I can't expect Athena to assist me. Now can I? She's the defendant. That leaves you, Apollo. Oh no, we're gonna
Are you sure you want me?
we're gonna have to perceive him. There's gonna have like the tiniest detail.
Yep.
Oh,
Let's go.
No, I'm scared.
I took a leave of absence and everything.
Well, our office is pretty short-handed, and you're all I've got.
But thank you, Mr. Wright.
Take the eye patch off. Take the eye patch off.
Apollo. Athena, I can say it with all my heart now. I believe in your complete innocence, and now we're going to prove it to the world. Thank you, Apollo. I know you can do it.
So, you won't be needing that eye patch anymore, right?
Right, because I'm fine now.
Take off the coat too? All his bandages came off. Let's go, Apollo. And suddenly an outfit change. It's like, I don't need my red vest anymore. Let's just put on this coat. Now this is the Apollo I know.
Welcome back, Apollo.
It's almost time for the trial to restart. So it looks like we have things well in hand. Yep. I should head back to the prosecutor's office.
But why?
I want to look into a few things. Namely, the first people on the scene 7 years ago. The facial data registered by the robot. Ooh, he's gonna get us more evidence. And Detective Fulbright's background. Sounds great, Edgeworth. Thanks. I expect to be repaid with a victory, right? Now, if you'll excuse me. Edgeworth to the rescue. Okay, you two. All set to go?
You bet I am. Let's do this.
This is it. The final battle. The murder of Apollo's friend. The courtroom bombing incident. And the case that ushered the dark age of law 7 years ago. Destiny has called us. The dual destiny has called us to bring the one responsible for it all to justice today.